Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The sixth season of the Great Debaters Contest seems to be getting better and better. Let's see what the contestants have in store for us today. Welcome to the show. I am Marion Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Our motion today is sustainable development should be citizen-driven. We have St. Mary's School, Langata versus Marion Senior School. Who will be the victor?
The first proposer take the stage. You have 3 minutes.
A group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. And indeed, it's anything that has ever has. Sustainable development should be citizen-driven. Sustainable development. This is the development that is able to meet the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future. I'm Philip Kinyanjui from St. Mary's Schools, Langata. How does sustainable development do this? It does this by protecting the human health, conserving the environment, using the resources efficiently, and advancing long-term economic competitiveness. When you speak about this, speak at the ability to communicate to the world's poor, make sure you are there enough resources, not only for now, but for the future. It also talks about using the environment, protecting it for both now and the future. Sustainable development should be citizen-driven. Talk about Kenya and Al-Shabaab. Your phrase is it in a way that a country as a state is able to develop economically and sustainably against the foreign investors that come to our country. Kenya has enough resources to go to Somalia and fight Al-Shabaab, help restore their country, help restore peace to their country. With this, it only implies to us that you have the capability to sustain development in our country. You also have South Sudan. Kenya was able to go to South Sudan and help them bring order and gain their own independence, thus giving us the ability to have sustainable development by our own selves. DRC Congo. Foreign investors went there with the aim of making roads. And then they took their mahogany trees and excavated their gold. This doesn't lead them to work. If you allow them to come, the only thing that they do is come and manipulating us to take our things. Chinese and oil. Right now, the Chinese are excavating our oil, and they're getting about 92% of it, us you're only getting 82%. Is it really right? No, we can do this by having our own investments, going there, excavating our oil, and getting the income without allowing other people to take our things. Talk of Wangari Maathai. Her as an individual, as a citizen of our state, was able to fight for the Karura forest. And right now, we're enjoying the fruits of it, and we are certainly sure that the people who will come after us will also enjoy the benefit of that. It comes to a time that a student has to leave the master and go on his own way. And who knows, it may end up for the better. When the Britain colonized USA, and USA gained their independence, right now, they are the world top, leading as the best developed, sustainable country. We can also do this. Not necessarily that you can beat USA, but at least we can have a sustainable development for us and our future. Talk of South Africa and Ethiopia. Ethiopia, at itself, as a state, without using any colonization process, was able to get to where they are without other influences. Please take this to do that we can also attain our self-sustainable development by ourselves without involving other people. Thank you.
Marion Senior School, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Too many cooks spoil the broth. The same way, too many people cannot lead a nation, cannot develop a nation. Who will be the head? Who will be the tail? Who will make the decisions and who will follow? It is logic. It is simple. I am Kevin Kamau, representing the Marion Senior School. First and foremost, I must say, it is the work of the government in developing the nation. The government has put up structures, for example, where we are sitting right now, the Starehe High School. I must say, I was jealous when I was not called to the Starehe High School. But nevertheless, it is the government which has set up this school. It is the government which gives the resources to this school. Can a private person do that? No. I must say, too many Kenyans are suffering. Too many Kenyans are wandering in the jungle. Too many Kenyans are in a wonderland. Why, you may ask me. I will tell you the reason right now. It is because too many Kenyans are in poverty. In December, I was listening to the news, and our president, our president Uhuru Kenyatta, said that too much money of our country is going to corruption to the private sector. The private sector is hiking the prices. The private sector is lying to the government. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the private sector we want to lead? We want to live to develop our nation? The private sector is the citizen. The private sector consists of the citizens of this nation. But what are they doing? They are bringing our development down by corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, it is high time that we tell you the truth. It is only the government who can develop this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the government helps in decision making. The Al-Shabaab had terrorized our nation for so long. The Al-Shabaab had killed so many of our people. But it is the government who helped in decision making to go and fight Somalia. It is our government that sat down. It is the parliament that sat down and decided to go to Somalia. Would the normal Mwananchi do that? Would the citizen do that? No. Because why? As I began, too many chefs spoiled the broth. The budget is made by the government. Can we leave the budget of this nation to be made by the common Mwananchi? What will happen when we leave the budget to be made by the common Mwananchi? Too many struggles, too many confusions. That is why I ask my opponents to join us on this side and say that citizens cannot develop this nation. It's only the government which can develop this nation. Thank you.
We'll now hear rebuttals. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Ochieng from St. Mary's Mission Hospital High School. First of all, I would like to ask my opponents whether they know that the government is part of the citizens. Secondly, they say that it is the function of the government to ensure sustainable development. How can the government itself, giving example from Kenyan government, which is full of corruption scandals, ranging from the Golden Bag up to today, we have the NYS scandal and even the Eurobond issues. How will the government itself, the government of Kenya that you are talking about, develop this country for today and the future generation? And then in our country, that is Kenya, you are talking about, the political temperatures are too high that the government itself, of which you are talking about, the leaders who are government officials, they are taking part in politics from the day of election to the next day of election. Therefore, I tell you, my opponents, there is no day that the government of Kenya, of which you are talking about, can take part in a sustainable development for this country. Instead, I would advise you to support us by saying that a sustainable development can only be achieved by citizens taking part fully in it, because by doing so, Kenyans, especially youths, which makes up about 60% and above in this country, are jobless. Many youths are jobless. And when the government officers, they usually take this job position for the people they know. That is corruption. I hope that you will also agree with me that poverty in our country is a big problem. So if you say that the government officers the government itself taking part in sustainable development, you will be lying to us, because we want to eradicate poverty, as some of my friends had said. We have to eradicate poverty by doing what? Employing jobless people, not already employed government officers. You should know that government itself has been employed, and it has been employed by Kenyans themselves. I also come up and tell you, citizens understand their problems more than government itself. You will realize that some of these government officials, they have stayed in the government from almost immemorial. Look at, they are taking part in government works. Their function is only to stay in the government while not understanding the problems that the citizens are undergoing in the low level. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your cross-examination.
The government is not part of the citizens. It's the citizens who are part of the government. I am Victor Muturi, representing the Marion Senior School. In this country, we know that security has become a very big problem. We know that the Al-Shabaab have been attacking our country. That's why in 2012, we marched with the KDF, the Kenya Defense Forces, into Somalia to take them over and help them in peacekeeping, because they are becoming a problem to both us and them. Somalia is one of the examples of what can happen if citizens take security into their own hands. They took up guns, overthrew their government. What has happened now? Secondly, our government is supposed to make sure that our relations with other countries is good. If our relations with the US are good, foreign investors will come into Kenya and help us in boosting our development. This is one of the ways that we can promote sustainable development, inviting foreign investors. Rich men like Chris Kirubi, Peter Munga have taken a step in investing in Kenya. We don't want Kenyans to go outside and start investing in other countries. We need the money in Kenya to develop us. We have a good education system, but the government still wants to change it because they have seen that the education we are having doesn't present us with the required skills. These skills are going to be used in development of our country. So, I stand, therefore, to say that the government is what promotes sustainable development. Thank you.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The proposition have been asked how the private sector hinders sustainable development through corruption, and the opposition have been challenged to state whether they think that schools started by the government are better than those started by private individuals. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Louise Barbara from St. Mary's, Langata. I'd like to answer the question by giving an example. In the Waigoro saga, we heard that biro pens were costing 7,000. The private sector brought in tenders. This is the only legal way that the government allows things to be bought in the government, right? So we have the private sector bringing in tenders for the amount and prices that they want the things to be sold at to the government. It is the government that has those policies that insist it has to be done through this tendering. So these tenders that the private sector is going to bring is going to cause a lot of money to be wasted in things such as, for example, in the Waigoro saga, and it will lead to corruption, and this money could have been used for other development projects. Okay, we have to understand that sustainable development is broadly divided into economic, environmental, and social development. And for example, I'd like to give some examples that show that sustainable development should be citizen-driven. For example, the Matter Heart Run. It was started by the Matter Hospital. It is not run by the government. It is a citizen that saw the plight of the Kenyans that have heart problems, that needed the money, and they cannot afford to have these treatments. It is a citizen who has led to the curing of very many patients with heart diseases. We also have another example, the St. Mary's Hospital and St. Mary's Education Center. It was started by a citizen, not the government. They treat patients at very low rates. They provide education for people from the slums. This is a citizen who is doing this. So sustainable development should be citizen-driven because it is only the citizen who understands their problem, and they will be able to take pride in what they have done in the end because they know this is my effort which has caused our country to come to this point where we are. I would also like to give an example of the time that we had hunger in Turkana. The Kenyans as citizens came together and raised money that helped in saving so many lives. So many people could have died of hunger. But the Kenyans for Kenya was something that was initiated by citizens. They raised the money. They saved so many lives from dying. And all these people are going to someday become the great leaders in the country. They're going to become professionals, and they will do something that will cause our country to come to a higher rank than it already is currently. Also, if citizens can sponsor a football team, Gor Mahia, for a whole season, do you think it will be hard for them to lead a whole country into development? Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond.
My name is Njuguna Njiro. Good question from Harias Starehe. The question is that if private institution, they can, about corruption in private institution, I can say that most institutions which are private are more corrupt than government. Government institutions, we have things like KEBS. KEBS regulates the goods and quality of goods. We have integrity like anti-corruption, which was started by the government and which regulates corruption in our country. Okay, now to the private institutions, we have like hospital like Aga Khan. It's started by common citizens, which are private. Aga Khan is more expensive than Kenyatta Hospital, which a common wananchi from Kibela cannot afford. Most of institutions like schools, give another example in school, Pioneer, is a private institution. It's more expensive. But we can see that our public institutions, which are funded by the government, are regulated in order for everyone to be able to fit in. Each citizen has different view of development. One has a view that we need a railway. Another one has a view we need a road. Another has a view we need a hospital. We cannot raise. We need to unite and elect one government that will enable us to go to the next level. Because if everyone builds its own things in different way, we cannot sustain the development. We cannot achieve our goals. United we stand, divided we fall. When we say citizens, each and everyone is a citizen on its own. So we are divided. We need to come together, choose one government, and that's the reason why we pay tax to the government in order to sustain our development. Thank you.
Closing statements now. We'll begin with the proposition. You have a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to officially thank our opponents for supporting us by saying they have actually said that the government agencies are very corrupt and therefore they cannot take part in a sustainable development. We would also like to tell them that if they want to pose questions, they should pose questions to either the audience or the opponents. Now, they asked a question which was a statement, and a statement cannot be answered because an answer is a statement. Now, just to say a few, let me say that sustainable development should be citizen-driven. Why? Because if we allow foreign investors to come to our country, they usually introduce their monopolistic practices. Let's give an example of Del Monte company, that is the company by Lord Alamea, that is the only company providing Del Monte in this country. That is a monopolistic practice, and we Kenyans, we need to also invest in some of these things so that we may get jobs. Thank you.
Opposition, you have a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would take this opportunity to first say that no one in the opposing side has said that the government is more corrupt, or have you heard? I have not heard. It is our opponents here who have said that the private sector is more corrupt. What we are saying. Let me ask you a question. How can we let the development of our country be driven when all I hear when there's a crisis in the TVs, serikali nisaidie, baba yangu amepotoroka? How can we let citizens like those drive our nation? The citizens of this country are divided on opinion. They're divided on the terms they believe in. Each day we hear one thing from the citizens, the next day we hear the other thing from the citizens. They do not have a common ground. But the government is a system which has a common ground. The government can unite this nation. The government can develop this nation. An example, it is the government which represented this nation during the meeting at France. It is the government which represented this nation during the WTO. So I would like and stand here and say that citizens cannot develop this nation. Thank you.
Marion Senior School, you're looking at the antithesis of citizen-driven to be government-driven. That means that sustainable development should be government-driven. You need to organize your thinking, you need to organize your ideas, tagline your argument. Once you touch on one argument, move to the next argument. Use of connectives in the course of your presentation proves to be effective. So to the three gentlemen, I want you to organize your thinking, organize your notes, improve on your delivery. To the students of St. Mary's Langata, it was a fair presentation, but at the same time, you need to work on your statistics. We need evidence and not just abstract arguments put across. Fair presentations from both teams.
In general, I think the Langata St. Mary's School did very well with the motion. Apart from stage fright, I think Barbara struggled with that quite a bit, but you were able to pick up and continue and sustain the debate. For Marion Senior School, Kevin, the first speaker, actually stands out for me because you seem to have passion in whatever it is that you're saying. I think those were my concerns. All the best to the two schools.
Marion Senior School, you garnered 60%. Please give them a round of applause. St. Mary's Langata, you are our winners for today with 70%.
Congratulations to St. Mary's Langata, and of course, thank you to both teams for a wonderful, very entertaining debate. And thank you for watching. Follow us on Twitter at Great Debaters EA and keep watching the show. I am Marion Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Catch you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.